What's up, folks? It's Bigboy here with Fightrepreneur TV, coming to you live from the AFC Night of Titles. We had some great fights tonight.
Yeah, all night.
Tigers World went 2-2. That's why my voice is the way it is. So in order for my voice to be this way, I've got my boy Matthew Gaither here from Cage Zombies Radio, and we're going to go over the results of tonight's fights. Matt, what'd you think about tonight's fights?
I mean, overall, it was a great night of fights, man. You know, a lot of tough decisions. Of title fights were baller fights. You know, very, very evenly matched pretty much all throughout the night. You know, you have the one unfortunate no contest. You have the early TKO, which was a great start to the night. And just it kind of flowed throughout the night, man. Great fight after great fight. The last few fights, I mean, there's really 2 or 3 fights that are top contenders for fight of the night out here. It's really a tough thing that if you're sitting down to decide something like that, it's tough to narrow it down to one fight. You know, you're talking Austin McRae, Casey Rivera, easy contender. Quasi Tavo and Hawaii, your boy, another contender for fight of the night. The Matos fight, Danny Matos and Richie Denz, another contender. And then the main event. So you've got all these fights that were really tough, back and forth, and just great battles.
Listen, they were amazing battles. We spent a lot of time on this card. We take consideration with these fighters. We look at their records. We go in to watch them train. We hear stuff from their coaches, and it's why we try to match make these evenly. The first fight I want to talk about is Thomas Scharsch and Angelo Danelio. Danelio's one of my guys. He's only been training a short time, but wow, what an explosive fight. I don't want to blow my own head up or my guy's head up, so I'm going to let Matt tell you about that one.
I mean, that's easy. You know, he came out, you know, they went back and forth for a little bit, but your guy, Angelo came out and just really, he put it to him, got a nice TKO. It was easy stoppage.
First round knockout for Tigers World Tampa. Awesome job. Great fight by Thomas coming down here from Ocala. We want to thank him. Second fight was Quasi Tavo, Mikhail Ferguson. This is arguably fight of the night. We're going to have to take it to the polls, but what did you think about that fight and Mikhail Ferguson and Tavo?
I thought, first of all, Mikhail was throwing some bombs, and Tavo was taking those bombs and kept moving forward. This was a great fight. I thought this was one of many decisions that really could have gone either way, and it wouldn't have been a bad call. You know, it went in Quasi Tavo's way. I know Tavo trains hard. I've known him for a while. He's a good kid, and he trains a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of ground game. But you know what? He stood. We saw some great stuff from him. He took some really destructive shots from Mikhail. Kept moving forward. Both guys kept moving forward, and what we saw was a great fight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was. Great job for Quasi. Congratulations, sir. We'll see both those fighters back September. What's the date on the next one? 13th.
I believe it's September 13th.
September 13th. Next fight I want to talk about is Yasniel Diaz and Sean Langaf. You know, that was a great fight. Those two guys came in great shape. You know, the winner of that fight was he was going to deserve it. But tell us a little bit about that one.
Yet again, another vicious battle. I mean, these guys. First of all, these guys physically look like the same person. Very similar build, shape. And they came out throwing the same stuff. They were back and forth. Yasniel, I thought this was more of an easier decision in his favor. It wasn't as close as like the Quasi Mikhail fight was. It was still a very close fight. Obviously, Sean came out and did a good job. But I just thought Yasniel kind of showed the better stuff from beginning to end that got him the win.
Yes, sir. Yasniel takes the decision. Great job. You know, the fights were amazing. The reason why I got a piece of paper is I just couldn't keep up with them. So much great stuff. I had 4 guys of my own going on there, so we were trying to do a lot of things. But the next one was Wes Zamor versus Noel Nos. Now, that's a guy from the new Team Trauma with Joe Sirocco, and those guys looked awesome. What'd you think about Noel?
Well, he looked great, man. The new Team Trauma's been cleaning up all over the place lately, you know, at many different events, and they brought a really great squad out here tonight. But, you know, coming into the fight, I thought that these guys looked, as Noel circled the cage, they kind of gave each other a nice intense stare. And Noel was working the submissions, you know, in that first round. He nearly had that arm triangle. And he just, you know, I'm sitting over there whispering under my breath. I'm like, drop your hips, drop your hips. And that was the only thing that he did not do in order to finish that one. And I told him that after the fight. I said, man, you almost had that. But he came right back on the second round and got a phenomenal Americana.
Congratulations, Noel, man. That's awesome for Team Trauma. Those guys are doing good. That team's growing fast. Next fight I want to talk about was the heavyweights, the big guys, Josh Sanchez and Rudy Acree. All right, listen, Sanchez is one of my favorite heavyweight fighters. The guy, when you look at him, you just couldn't think that he was that athletically talented. The man is fun to watch. Hopefully the cage doesn't fall on us, but we'll be good if it does. It'll be a great blooper. But listen, Josh always surprises me. When he walks into weigh-ins, I think, man, this kid's out of shape. He's not going to make it. But he's always taking it out, doing a good job. And tell us what, again, your opinion, the man, about that big heavyweight fight.
This fight I thought was a pretty easy decision for Sanchez. He controlled pretty much everything. This fight can be summed up by two things. Rudy didn't want any of Josh's stand-up, and Josh didn't want any of Rudy's clinch work against the cage. The only thing I think that held Josh back from finishing this fight is because when Rudy would get him against the cage, it seemed like Josh couldn't get himself off of the cage. He needs to learn a little bit of some cage work, get himself able to turn guys around. If he gets off that cage, he finishes this fight easily. Every time he threw a punch at Rudy, it looked like he was going to knock him out. And so Rudy would come in, push him against the cage, keep that pressure on him, and Josh just wasn't able to kind of turn that. But Josh has vicious hands. You know, he knocked out his last opponent, I think, over at Ross Kellen's show. He's got vicious stand-up, and Rudy knew that. He didn't want anything to do with it, so he kept him against the cage. But still, even against the cage, Josh did some good work and earned himself that victory.
Listen, congratulations to Josh Sanchez. I know that there's a heavyweight bout out there and somebody who holds that belt, so maybe we can get that match made up for September. Maybe we can get that heavyweight over here and we can get a belt in contentionship over there. Next fight I want to talk about. This was a big fight, 165 guys. These guys were trash talking like crazy. Charles Fountain and Stevie Rochelle. Rochelle, again, another Team Trauma guy coming in here, and man, Team Trauma might get team of the night here.
Yeah, I mean, this is easy. First round guillotine for Stevie Rochelle. Like we said earlier, you know, Team Trauma came out here and pretty much cleaned up. Guys did awesome, and they've been doing awesome, as I said before. You know, but Stevie came out, went to work, quick work, and there you go, celebration.
Did it. Awesome job, Stevie. We're proud of you, man. Congratulations. We'll see you in September as well. Recap, just a few more. We're going to get all these fights done. Bout 7 was dropped, so we missed a fight on that one, but we went on and put Zenon Herrera versus Doug Moore at a 155 title. Again, one of my guys, Doug Moore, fighting. You know, that's why my voice is gone, but it was a tough fight. Great fight. That's another one that could be fight of the night. Zenon came in with these great takedowns. Doug was defending. I think Doug forgot about halfway through that we were allowed to do ground and pound, but man, Doug pulled it out. We brought the belt home to Tigers World. Good job for Doug. I'm proud. I don't want to blow my head up anymore, so let's let Matt talk about the awesome job that Zenon was doing and what we can see from him maybe in September.
Now, this is the fight that made me glad that I wasn't a judge, because this was a tough one. You know, Zen and Z, you know, I've trained with him before. Everybody, if you know him, you call him Z, you know. But he had good submission work. He had that Darson pretty good in the second. He had good aggression. He had some ground control. I think the striking is what won Doug the fight. Z landed some good kicks throughout the fight, really solid kicks, as he's got a background in kickboxing. I think, though, it came down to the striking of Doug Moore and the fact that he stayed with it. Even when they would go to the ground and Z had control on the ground, I felt that Doug Moore was continuing with his striking. He kept throwing punches. Whether they were little punches or major punches, he was still throwing. He kept that active. I didn't notice if he really stopped with ground and pound. It seemed like he was kind of sticking with it throughout the fight. This is, like I said, it's a tough one. This is a fight that it goes either way, and I think that these guys just got to be proud of the performance they put on tonight. I know Z is bummed out. You know, Z fought hard. It's been a little while since he's fought. He came out and he looked great. He looked real good. You know, Doug's coming off of a fresh victory just a few weeks back over at World Class, and you know, this is a fight where I think both of these guys have to go home saying they put their best stuff in the cage tonight, and there's really no loss. I know that, you know, on card, yeah, there's a win and a loss, but that's a great fight for either guy. Absolutely.
Great job from Doug Moore. 3-0, or actually 3 wins in a row for him, so we're expecting to see him too back as well. Another amazing fight between a couple 170 guys. It was kind of a upset. I mean, not an upset, but maybe a kind of a, I don't know how I would put it. I was kind of sad that it came down to a no contest. But listen, these rules are made for a reason. What happened was Donnelly slipped, accidentally landed an elbow on Oyola's face. Oyola was actually damaged. His nose was hurt. You know, they couldn't continue with the fight. You know, they get a no contest between the two judges and the two coaches. But, man, what a crazy fight. These guys get out of control, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's for me probably one of the first no contests I've seen. You know, I thought it was going to be by a DQ. But first thing is Oyola is a great kid, and every time that kid comes to fight, win or loss, he's putting good stuff out, and he's always entertaining, fun to watch. Now Donnelly, that dude looks solid. That dude looked like I'd rather be hit by a freight train than the punches he was throwing. The elbow's unfortunate, you know, it came in there and it hit and it landed. You know, it looked like he was trying to throw punches and just the arm slipped and the elbow came down. It's unfortunate that that's how the fight ended, because it looked like it was going to be a really explosive fight.
It was an awesome fight. I mean, it was an awesome match that I was very impressed with Oyola coming in and making weight. First time in a while. But hats off to those guys. I'm sure they'll get a fight again. Now let's start getting into these big titles and these main events. We had Austin McCray versus Casey Rivera. That was another 3-round fight. Man, awesome fight out of Casey. He always impresses me. He's one of our guys. He cross-trains with us at Tigers World. But I love to watch this kid fight because his cardio lasts for days, and he's just so patient. But Austin was able to pull out the win. What'd you think about this fight?
Well, on the subject of cardio, I thought at the end of the third round, both of these guys looked like they were fresh just walking into the cage. So great cardio by both of them. I watched Austin McCray make his debut fight back at a Donnie Hare event about a year and a half ago. And that was like a first round head kick KO. And from then on, I followed this kid and paid attention to his career. And this was one amazing young fighter. He, to me, this is my personal opinion, I think he was the most pro-ready fighter in the cage tonight. He is a phenomenal fighter. Casey, coming off of a big win just a couple weeks back, where he stepped up on about a 2-day notice, came out, got the win, got the title there, came out, great fight. To me, this is the best fight all night. Austin McCray, Casey Rivera.
Not to interrupt you, but we took this fight as well on a couple-day notice. It was I believe it was Curtis Vert was injured and was the original opponent, but Casey stepped up to take this.
Yeah, Curtis coming back off the knee surgery, just still feeling a little bit of discomfort in that knee and not ready to go. Watch out 125ers though, because when Curtis does come back, you guys are on watch.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Austin McCray being pro or being close to pro, because after he won that fight, I texted my boss Joe Valdez with the RFC and said, man, you got to pay attention to this kid. He would be a great addition to our 125 pool with Abby and Rory and Ace Picalili and all that good stuff like that. So that kid does have a promising career at 125. All right, so now we're going to go into another one. And excuse my voice, folks. You got to come and watch me when I coach. Everybody in here thinks I'm senile or crazy, but it's just how I get into it. I love this stuff. Yep, we do. All right, next one was Richie Dentz and Danny Matos. A 145 title in my books was an upset. I had Danny Matos all the way. I figured Gracie Tampa South was going to come in here and get it. But, man, your boy Richie Dentz came in and laid down.
Yeah, I think Danny just got a little out-wrestled tonight, and that's the outcome of the fight. You know, talking with Danny before the fight, Danny, one of my favorite guys to watch. Really, almost everybody out of that Gracie Tampa family, you know they're going to come out and put on a great show. Danny always puts on a good show, win-loss. Obviously one of Matt Arroyo's top guys. But this, to me, like I said, I think Richie just out-wrestled him a little bit. Danny actually said that to me after the fight. He said he just made some moves on the ground and kind of, you know, outdid me a little bit. And, you know, it was an upset because I had Matos finishing this fight. I thought Matos is going to finish this fight, and it's going to be an early night for Gracie Tampa. But it's a great fight. Again, a great fight by both guys. But I do think that Richie did enough to earn that unanimous decision.
Awesome job, Richie. Great job for you. No offense on me saying an underdog, but I had Matos picked. But, man, way to come in there, way to be energetic, way to be explosive, and way to take the win. All right, main event of the night. My favorite fight. I made this fight personally. I had this fight on another card in Winter Haven with Decilberto and Edson on Rumble in the Dome. The card got canceled just because, you know, things happen. We didn't want to take a chance. I had to have this fight. I called the camps. I begged the camps all week long, please, let's meet in the middle. This was something I wanted to see these two guys fight. I'm great friends with Jeremiah McDougal. I've seen this kid come down from 260 pounds as he now fights 170 pounds. Jeremy Christensen, one of my friends. Every time I come out here, we hang out. Every time that I come here, we train. These guys are loyal dudes. They're friendly dudes. I had to see him fight. It wasn't about me wanting to see which one of my friends was tougher. It was about showing the crowd a great fight and some great entertainment. Matt, big main event. Let's get the Gaither theory on it.
All right, first thing, Jeremy Christensen. I probably talk more crap to this kid than anybody else I know, but when it comes down to it, one of my favorite people in this sport. Came out, and I trained with Jeremy. I saw him when he first came into the gym, and he is hungry. He's one of the hungriest people I've seen out there. But this, to me, Jeremiah was great. Jeremiah looked great. They were going back and forth. Jeremiah gave Jeremy some shots. Now, in Jeremy's last fight out here at AFC against Yannick Diaz, he took some serious damage and kept moving forward against Yannick and took Yannick to decision in a fight that I think a lot of people thought Yannick would finish early. So his toughness has been tested before, and he's come through, and he did that again tonight because he took some shots from Jeremiah, kept coming forward, kept looking good. He worked some stuff on the ground back and forth. Jeremiah, though, I think did enough to edge out that fight, get the win, and put on a great show and cap off a great night for Team Trauma, the new Team Trauma.
The new Team Trauma probably going to end up getting Team of the Night here at AFC tonight. Jeremiah McDougal, great kid, good job. But Jeremy Christensen, man, he's, don't let this kid's record fool you. He's fought some of the best opponents in the amateur division, and he's still going. I think the kid's probably really close to pro ready, but man, both of those guys looked amazing. So these fights were amazing. At the end of the day, I think this card was a great success as far as entertainment went wise, matchmaking as well. Everybody had a great show. What'd you think, man? I didn't see you sad or mad.
No, overall, great night of fights, man. As you said, though, I do want to add about Jeremy is that the record, records. If you look at the numbers, they don't always look great. You look at Tony Murphy, he's a guy who's close to a 500 record, but by far one of the most exciting, explosive guys you'll ever see on the local scene. Jeremy's putting himself in that category. Jeremy's starting to move up into that category as he starts taking on more and more top-notch opponents in what is still a very young career. The guy's been doing this a year and a half maybe, less than 2 years. He's been fighting, and he's put together some great fights against great opponents, in big situations. Yannick Diaz is a guy that probably should be pro. That guy looks solid, and Jeremy took him all the way, like I said before, when really he was, I thought Jeremy was one punch from out at one point against Yannick, and he kept going. But overall, great night of fights. AFC has done this time and time again. Since they started, since you've come in and started helping it, and you and Matt have been working together on the matchmaking. You guys really reach out. You're pulling in guys from places that from schools people aren't familiar with. I don't think people around here are familiar with Austin McCrae's where he comes out of. But the fact is, when you see a guy like Austin come out and put on the show like he did, you're like, wow. I'm Googling. Who's that school? The new Team Trauma, who are they? These guys, they just came out with 3 or 4 guys tonight and put on great shows. Who are they? Mike Geary's a guy who's very well known throughout jiu-jitsu, throughout grappling, throughout the local scene here. But people are looking at, what's Newport Richie Jiu-Jitsu Academy? That's new to us. Oh wait, we recognize some of these names. Oh, it's led by Mike Geary. You're seeing these young guys come out and put these schools that don't have the trademark names attached to them on the map. You're seeing schools like Gaither for a while has been putting solid guys out. A lot of tough guys, win or loss. Z lost tonight, but you know what? Z fought hard. Z always fights hard. So when you have these local shows that are pulling from unorthodox schools, you got schools like Team Darkside, Defiant Warrior, that is an unorthodox, untraditional school that has built their name up by reputation. But at the same time, you've got the schools like Gracie Tampa South with Matt Arroyo or Team Bamboo, Gracie Tampa West, that have that solid name, but then they back it up. And you're seeing the full realm of the greatness that is on this local scene at these local shows like the AFC MMA, at all the local shows throughout the state here and stuff. So it's always a good time to come out and see these young guys. They're usually the hungrier fighters. Before those paychecks start coming, they're fighting for their passion, for their love. They're fighting for that drive. Not to say it's gone when they start getting paid. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when they're fighting in the amateurs, they're not even thinking about money. They're thinking about proving their name. They're thinking about, I'm fighting tonight to be asked to fight again. I'm fighting tonight so that somebody says, you know what, that Jeremy Christensen, that's a tough looking kid. That Austin McCrae, holy crap, that kid flies. I don't know how that kid, I don't know, he's defying gravity when he's in the cage. So that's what you see at these shows and stuff, and it continues to get better and better as the amateur scene here in Florida just grows.
That's right. Listen, Matt, amazing. For once you get to crash my show instead of me crashing your show. But listen, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for your opinion. Thank you for letting the Fightrepreneur fans out there know the results for tonight. Listen, let's listen to this man's sponsors, and let's hear what you guys need to do to get in to hear his show.
Right, so Cage Zombies Radio every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can find that out through MMAMadhouse.com, which is the website that I work for. You can also find that out through Blog Talk Radio. You can find us on there. I'm sponsored by Intimidation Clothing, one of the best clothing apparel companies in this entire sport, based out of the Ohio area. If you want to get information on them, intimidationmma.com or intimidationclothing.com. You can talk to Luke Jernigan. He is by far one of the coolest people in the sport. Check out my new YouTube channel where I'm doing fight interviews with anybody I can get my hands on. If I can stop them for a minute or two, you're going to find them on there. That's youtube.com/the_MMA-Matthew. I don't like the part of it, but YouTube made me put that in there. So other than that, MMAmadhouse.com is where you can find out what I'm doing. And, you know, you'll find me all over the place for the most part. Most of the time, I'm somewhere covering something. So.
All right, folks. Well, this is a recap of AFC Night of Titles. I'm Bigboy with Fightrepreneur. We're sponsored by Macho Fighter, brought to you by JA Productions. AFC is September 13th. Come on out and watch some more fights done by mine and Matt Gary just for you. Fightrepreneur TV. See you later.